Hey everybody, my name is Omari Kamal. I'm the senior advisor with P&G Advisors, profitandgrowth.com. It's great to be with you all again. This is our second ever Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn live. We're going to give people a second to hop on and likewise to get our Instagram folks connected. I think let's do Instagram right now. Okay, good. So I think we're good. Now we're live on Instagram. So look, great to be with you all. Some of you all are going to check in with us live, and others of you are going to um, listen to the recording. Either way, you're welcome, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being of interest in what we're up to. At P&G Advisors, we have a vision of creating 10,000 small and mid-sized businesses with valuations of $10 million or more in the next 10 years, and we welcome your partnership, whatever that may look like. If you are a small business owner and you'd like to talk to us about what that might look like for you, we'd love to talk to you. If you are a professional partner, like a banker or a financial advisor or an insurance agent or anybody else, a marketing consultant, anybody else that has small business owners as their clients, we definitely want to partner with you as well. And so what our basic thrust is this: we offer basic bookkeeping services, tax planning and preparation services, and we are what we really love to do. And we don't get me wrong, we love to do accounting work, we love to do tax planning work, but we are the types of accountants where we don't like to just throw a set of financial statements at you and say, here, congratulations on getting this done for yourself. We are what are called now fractional CFOs, contract CFOs. We care about your strategy, and we care about you, that your business succeeds. And in particular, as the name would have it, we care about that your business profits and grows. So we have 3 books that we buy for each and every one of our clients. One of them is the book that we're going to talk about today. It's Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. The second of which is Built to Sell by John Warrillow. And the third of which is Traction by a gentleman named Gino Wickman. And our advisory philosophy, which is what we consider to be the sort of the crown jewel of our set of services, is that is a combination of those 3 philosophies. And we're going to talk about one of them here today. But before we get into it, I want to tell y'all a little story about how I got introduced to Profit First. I actually read it once, and I've actually heard that this isn't an entirely uncommon experience. I didn't like it the first time, particularly as an accountant. So we as accountants, there are 2 things that one thing that Mike Michalowicz said that didn't necessarily rub me the right way. It's not that what he said didn't rub me the right way. It how I took it is what rubbed me the wrong way. So he said that there's a fundamental flaw in accounting. Actually, there's a couple of them, and we're going to get to them in just a moment. And I took that to mean that there was a fundamental flaw with accountants, and that's not what he said. There's a fundamental flaw in the world of accounting that we had to deal with and be responsible for. And the second thing was that he proposes, again, like we'll talk about in a moment, opening up these different accounts for these different purposes. And those of you who are listening to this who might be accountants, you know that, look, the less accounts we have to reconcile, the better. So, when he said, like, you need to open up 5 different accounts, my listening shut off immediately. And I said, okay, like, this isn't for me. However, I was inspired by this concept of profit first. You could just hear that in the title, Profit First. You can kind of get that just in my saying it and his saying it. Yeah, you take your profits off the top instead of waiting until the tail end to take them. And that would actually make more sense, even though it's somewhat counterintuitive if you look at a profit and loss statement, right, where it's down there at the bottom. And so we tend to look at profit like it's an afterthought, and you shouldn't. So that part is kind of obvious, but the method to it is what I didn't quite agree with initially. However, about a year ago this time, I'm just going to tell you right off the fundamental truth of this, or the aspect of I guess the kicker of all this. That's the word I'm looking for, is that I almost went broke. I almost went broke about a year ago. And it wasn't because I wasn't making any sales. It wasn't because things were bad and the accounting business was necessarily bad. It was really because I'd made some poor financial decisions, even as an accountant. And I felt like I should have known better, but I didn't. So what happened was, right around July of 2023, I knew that I needed some help. And the decision I made was like, look, if I could just get one qualified person to be my partner, and back me up. I could do a lot more than what I've been doing. So I put out an ad and I started to interview people, and I didn't get one extraordinary person. I got two extraordinary people, and I couldn't decide between the two of them. So I said, you know what? let, let let's bring you both on. And so they come on board with me, and a little bit after they started, a sister friend of mine called me, and she said, hey, look, you've been trying to work with me for a while. I happen to be in between positions, so if you want me, now is the time. And I said, look, I just hired two more people, you may as well come on. And my thought was like, look, if I have three great people, all I would have to go out and do is develop business, and I wouldn't have to worry about the operational side of the business. And right around the time that I had that epiphany, a fraternity brother of mine calls me and he says, hey, um, one of our other fraternity brothers is in trouble, and he has a finance background. I wonder if you could help him out and give him a job. And I said, sure, I'm hiring everybody else. I can hire my fraternity brother. So come on board. So now I go from 0 people to 4 people in about 3.5 weeks. And I'm thinking again, I have all these people backing me up. All I should have to do is go out and generate business, and that could be my only job. And I was cool with that. However, I didn't have four great people. I had one great people. The other three were doing just enough to not get fired. And it didn't really quite hit me until my oldest son is about to go to his first ever college visit. And I'm looking at my bank balances, and it's either get him to Morehouse or make payroll, but I can't do both. And so that very week, another client of mine mentioned to me, and when I say another client, I mean, I read the book. And so I'd been getting requests from clients to, hey, you know Profit First? Hey, do you do Profit First? Hey, you know anything about Profit First? And I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I talked them out of it, right? But I had this client who mentioned Profit First to me again this week. And I said, you know what? There's something that hit me newly about it this week. Let me read this again. And look, I'll spare you the details and the many, many, many insights that I got on the plane as I'm listening to Profit First on Audible. And it hit me. Oh, wow. I have been such a fool in this process. Here I am, an accountant, and I don't even know how to budget effectively for hiring people or making any major decision in business. And so it hits me like a ton of bricks. But I set up my accounts the way that Mike McCallowix tells you to. I put my symbolic dollars into each of the accounts. I knew I couldn't do the whole target allocations that he was suggesting to do, but I put in what I could there. But the big thing is that I got clarity for myself as to what to do next. The person that was the biggest drag on my business, I fired that person that Monday when I got back. The second biggest drag saw which way the wind was blowing. They fired themselves the very next day. The third day, I get approved for a small business loan that I absolutely wasn't expecting to get, and that totally resolved my cash flow issues. And then the fourth day, I get a large client engagement that I wasn't expecting to get until the next month, and that pays off the loan, and that again completely wipes out my cash flow issues. Inside of 5 days, all of this happens. Absolute miracle. Now, what I tell people when I tell them this story is that your situation is going to look different than mine. Okay. So your situation, when you start implementing Profit First, I'm not promising that kind of result, but you know just as well as I do, when you start to put the right types of mechanisms in place, it really does have a sort of a miraculous effect. And I'd suggest to you, and I've seen this happen with quite a number of clients since this time, because as you might imagine, I've been an ardent proselytizer of the Profit First method ever since then. And now we've put it in as a staple in our practice where it's no longer an option to implement the Profit First method. If you are a client of ours, you will be profitable, your business will grow, and we are going to use this method in order to effectively manage your accounts. And you'll hear more about that later as well. So we're creating a community, if you will, of entirely profitable businesses. Imagine that, an accounting practice where every one of our clients is profitable. We absolutely insist on it, but it'll look different for you, but something will shift. Something will happen when you implement the Profit First method. And I'll get more into what it is in just a moment. But let me double back to what I said before. It really comes down to a very simple set of ideas. The first of which being, again, remember that fatal flaw or that fundamental flaw in accounting. When you think about a profit and loss statement, you have your revenue up front, you have your expenses down at the bottom, and then you have your profit down at the bottom. What does that do to us? What that does is it forces us to think about profit like it's an afterthought. And you can't think of it that way if it's going to happen. Just like anything else in your business, if you want it, you got to plan for it. And what the profit first method does so brilliantly is that it forces you to take whatever percentage of profit you think is reasonable. If you run your business on 100% of what's coming in, you could run it on 95% or 90% or 85%. Take that 5, 10, 15% out, put it into an account, hide it from yourself. And then whatever percentage you agree to pay yourself, you take that out. You go put that in your personal account. You go pay your bills. Now, once you've done that, you got to deal with taxes. Now, if you're a profitable business, you got to pay taxes. Okay. And we'll talk more about that in a separate stream. But I don't have a problem with my clients paying taxes. What I have a problem with is them being surprised by what they have to pay. But whatever the case may be, whether you have to pay a lot in taxes or you have to pay a little in taxes or nothing in taxes, take something take something out of that every dollar that comes in and go put that into account and hide that from yourself. And what's left will be your operating expense budget. And that's what you force yourself to run your business on. And that's the profit first method in a nutshell. But it all comes from this one idea, though. In order to get that, you can get that kind of conceptually. But what I want you to see is what it actually looks like and what it could mean for you when your business and your profitability come first. Because what I would suggest to you is that you don't really have a business unless it's profitable. It's just you out there working a job. The joke is that, when you go into business for yourself, you're not just leaving your job, you're actually exchanging your job for 10, 15, 20 jobs. So you're wearing all of these different hats that were previously being shared by people. And that could be a good deal if you knew how to make the transition from being self-employed to being a business owner to being an investor, as Robert Kiyosaki would say. But in this instance, it's your business. And the thing that needs to come first is profit. But how do we do that? How do you begin to think about that? So first, we come back to this idea of the fundamental flaw in accounting. And what Mike Michalowicz suggests, and I agree with him, is that the formula is broken. And what formula am I talking about? Sales minus expenses equals profit. That's what we're taught in business school or what have you, right? Sales minus expenses equals profit. And it's not true. That's not exactly how it works. And how do you know it's not true? Well, because you've heard the statistics, 95% of small businesses are failing in the first 5 years of being in business. And 95% of the remaining 10% are failing in the next 5 to 10 years. And so whereas accounting focuses on the numbers alone, it actually ignores the behavior that gives us the numbers. And this is what we want to tap into as we get into this profit first sort of methodology. So to understand what I'm talking about here, you really have to get clear about human behavior. And there's this law called Parkinson's law, which says that our demand upon a resource tends to expand to match the supply of that resource. I'm going to say that again. Parkinson's law says this: our demand upon a resource tends to expand to match the supply of that resource. Some of you have heard it said like time expands for the time allowed. Like how many times have you had a situation where you said, you know what, I'm going to give myself 2 hours to finish this, and you're going along and then you look down at something, you see, oh wow, I don't have 2 hours, I have like 15 minutes, and you're like, and you even get it done, and you're sweating and you're complaining and you're cussing, and by the end you get it done and you're like, wow, whew, thank you, and you're all grateful and whatnot. But what's the next thought after that? Wait, hold on, didn't I think that thing took 2 hours? I actually finished that in 15, 20, 30 minutes. So you see, if you had given yourself 15, 20, 30 minutes, you would have finished it in that time, and you did. But if you really did have the whole 2 hours, how long would it have taken you? It would have taken you the whole 2 hours to get it done, because that's how human beings do. We allow things to stretch for the amount of time that we have allowed. And so, as counterintuitive as it may be, imagine what happens when with our money, we create constraints for ourselves. We put the guardrails around our money so that we can't go outside of them. My mother used to say it this way: your money is going to burn a hole in your pocket. I've never found that to be more true in my personal life, but guess what? It actually has an implication in your business as well. So you see the image there of the toothpaste. Mike Michalowicz tells this great story about how toothpaste is a similar kind of thing. When you first buy some toothpaste, you're just putting that stuff all on the thing and brushing away, and your mouth is all foamy and whatnot. But what happens when you get down to that last little chunk? You can make that last chunk survive longer than the initial batch did when you first bought it new. That's Parkinson's law in effect. And so, look, I'm not suggesting that you abandon the laws and the rules of accounting. Far from it. Yes, set up your financials in a way that's appropriate and consistent with generally accepted accounting principles. Absolutely, you need that for banking purposes. If somebody wanted to partner with you on some level, reporting purposes, anything that anybody would need, any financial report that a financial stakeholder would need access to, they need to be structured in a certain way. But in terms of that which allows you to be responsible for the behavior that comes with actually turning your business into a business, what we suggest that on a day-to-day basis, you engage in bank balance accounting. So like it says here, so we know that we should read our P&L and L and our statement of cash flows and our balance sheets on a regular basis. And we know that we should conduct regular financial analysis and reconcile our general ledgers. We just don't do that. Even many of us accountants don't do that. But what do we do constantly? We check our bank balances. We have our apps now. We whip those things out and we look to see, well, what do we have? And we make those decisions in a split second based on what we see that we have. So rather than resisting that and trying to get people to operate counter to their nature, why not lean into that and actually give them a way to make decisions given the way that they already operate? So Parkinson's law dictates as deposits increase, so does our spending and vice versa. But if you take your profit first, your natural behavior of checking your bank balances becomes actually your biggest asset, because when you look down at that bank balance and you see, oh man, there's nothing there. Now, in the back of your mind, you know that there's some other stuff and some other accounts that you've hidden for yourself, but there's something miraculous that happens in that moment that you see that low operating accounts balance, say, hey, nope, I can't quite do that thing I wanted to do. And you figure something out that fills out. And when you give yourself that opportunity to be creative, it makes a world of difference. So what's the fix? So Parkinson's law becomes a powerful ally when you take your profit first and you force your business to grow off of what's left. So in the past, profit was what was left over. You make your money, you spend your money, you cross your fingers, you hope and you pray that there's something left, right? That's how you did it in the past. So now expenses are forced to adjust to what remains after the profit. So you now, instead of hoping for profit, you rather intend on your expenses being what they need to be so that the profit doesn't have to come out of the account that you hid from yourself. So bank balance accounting becomes this highly effective method of managing your finances in real time. And historically, this method has been the greatest saving mechanism in history. What do I mean by that? Many of you who have worked regular jobs in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years are familiar with this thing called a 401k. What's so miraculous about the 401k? It's not this tax deferred approach that's so miraculous about it. We've seen that before. What's miraculous about it is that what people discover is that they say, hold on, my boss is going to give me a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% match. That's free money I get, but I have to contribute 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% of my own money. But I don't know if I can afford that. Let me just go ahead and do it. Now, when they do it, what they find is their paychecks don't look all that different. And when they look again, after a few years, few months, what have you, they see thousands, tens of thousands of dollars that have grown in this 401k account. And they wonder, wow, what a great concept this was. Not for how they think, but really more because they took their savings out first, put it away, made it inaccessible for themselves, and sat back and watched it grow. What we're suggesting is there's a similar way called profit first that you could do that with your business. Okay. So how does that make us different? We're different because we, like I said, we do basic accounting work. We do tax planning, tax preparation work. And that's the basics of what you should expect from anybody. And we do that as well as anybody does. Right. And just because we're suggesting that you save for taxes, we're not suggesting that you don't aggressively reduce your tax liability. Okay. Every quarter at a minimum, we meet with our clients to look for, hey, what are the most aggressive, albeit legal ways that we can use to get your tax liability down as low as possible. Because we want at the end of the year, when you file your taxes, take that tax account, funnel it right back over into your profit account and go spend it however you want. But you have to put that worst case scenario in there again, force yourself to be efficient in that way. So, but with that though, we also drive profitability because we know that in order for your business to become a real business, and how we define a real business is that business can run without you. You can work because you want to, not because you have to. That's what we call being in business. Otherwise, you're just self-employed. Not that there's anything wrong with being self-employed. I'm just saying it's not an ideal situation for most people, because as you go, the business goes. If you get sick, if something happens to you, God forbid, or if you just want to take a vacation or take some time off, you want your business to keep going. You want your money to continue to flow in. And that's our commitment. So our firm is involved with a network that has over 1,000 implementations of Profit First with businesses throughout the country. So no matter what profit challenges your business faces, our team has experience in solving it. And so that's what really makes us distinct. And we're experts at it. So, like I said, we buy everybody the book, and we always recommend, look, read the book. We have lots to share with you about it. We have a community of clients that we invite you to participate in, and those people have lots to share in it. But dig into it for yourself, do the work for yourself, discover the principles of it for yourself, and I promise you won't go wrong, and your life will never be the same. So here are the steps for implementing it. Just go to our website, profitandgrowth.com, set up a time to meet with one of our advisors, and we'd be more than happy to walk you through this personally. But here are the phases of it. Okay. The phase one is the assessment. You want to get what's so. You want to get where you're at right now. And this is a review of your company's historical financial trends, and we match that to the best financially performing companies that exist in the space. You get to see where I am on a broad-based level. How do I compare with other industries in my space in terms of where I should be in terms of profit, allocating for taxes, what I should be paying for myself, et cetera. So once you're clear about that and what the adjustments that we need to make are for implementing the Profit First method, we then move to the implementation. So we set up your bank accounts in such a way, and we allocate the percentages of those profits and other funds to their respective places, and we automate that as completely as possible. And there's a very cool way in which we do that as well. And then the balance of our relationship becomes about phase three, profit maximization. And this is again a minimum of a quarterly process of continually growing your profits, growing your owner's pay, and making other improvements, and ultimately leveraging that Parkinson's law that we were talking about to building the maximal efficiencies and innovations inside of your business. Okay, so that's how we do it. So look, at this point in our business, we have moved from having 4 part-time employees that we absolutely couldn't afford and that almost sent us into the tank, to having 6 full-time employees that we can absolutely afford, and we have more cash in our accounts than I ever have in the history of being in business. Okay. So Profit First bears results. And if you look at it, you can see why it is and why people who've read this book are so crazy about it. And we love to talk to you about it. So go to profitandgrowth.com. We invite you to meet with one of our representatives and learn more about it, or download our free ebook, The 8 Key Drivers of Value. This is another live that we'll do soon that talks, because once you get the profit thing down and you get the concept of building a business that can exist without you, like a real business, then you want to get your hands on the levers and dials of what it takes to really drive value, which are some other factors that maybe you hadn't considered yet in terms of what is it that creates that infrastructure in order to have your business run on its own. So again, my name is Omar Kamal, P&G Advisors, and I look forward to perhaps meeting with you in person at some point. But until our next stream, take care. Thanks.